most Jennifer, as always. Welcome back. So, we are continuing our Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review with Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. God, I love you guys. Let me just state that right now. Let's go through our cast of people that are in this movie. Yeah, whatever. So, of course, we have Robert Englund. Duh, hello. We have Lisa Zane, Sean Greenbolt, Leslie Dean, Ricky Dean Logan, Breckin Meyer, Yaphet Kotto, Tom Arnold, Roseanne Barr, Johnny Depp, and Alice Cooper. The last few, obviously, just kind of like little cameos and stuff in this movie. This one came out back in 1991. This was our 3D gimmick. Finally had gotten our 3D gimmick for Nightmare on Elm Street. And let me tell you guys, God, here's the thing. Freddy's Dead, it's always 50-50 for me. Like, sometimes I'm actually kind of like, you know what? It's not the worst, but then there's other times where I'm like, and this time, honestly, it was just such a sort of like miss for me. I was so bored with it this time, and it's just like, like, I know a lot of people really don't like this installment. Some people really are just very faithful followers of this one. I respect, like, both sort of sides of this movie. I really do. Like, I don't completely hate it where I'm like, it's an abomination. It's kind of what it is. For a lot of us know kind of with a lot of these franchises, by the time it kind of gets to around like this sort of installment or just, you know, whatever franchise it is, once you start really getting into like, you know, the 4th, 5th, 6th one, it's just getting a little tiresome. Definitely this one was just, Like I said, it was just, I was bored with it this time. I don't even know why. It's been ages since I have watched it. It's not like I just recently watched it before starting my franchise review or anything. But whatever. So a couple of things with this one. I know there was a number of different scripts that were kind of floating around and everything. And I honestly kind of would have rather seen maybe one of the other scripts actually brought to life for this one. Like, I know, oh my gosh, Peter Jackson actually wrote a script for this, and I also know that I've heard this, about Freddy versus Jason as well, where script was brought in by Peter Jackson, where, kids kind of like, for this one, where kids kind of take, like, sleeping pills and stuff just to knock themselves out, to kind of go, kick around Freddy and stuff and beat him up and stuff, because he's so kind of just old and tired and everything. Like I said, I've heard this sort of script talked about for the Freddy versus Jason, and then, recently, for Freddy's Dead as well. So I'm not quite sure which version is true. Maybe both sort of were maybe submitted for both movies. I don't know. So take that tidbit with a grain of salt. So another one that I actually kind of really sort of piqued my interest in, one that I literally just kind of found out about as I was doing a little bit of research for this movie. Michael, and I know I'm gonna slaughter this last name, Almerida. I know I totally messed that up, sorry. Actually, I guess wrote a script centered around Jacob from part 5, and it's now like, you know, like some 16 years later or something. We find that, you know, Alice is killed by Freddy, or, you know, sort of similar to the Laurie Strode character with like Halloween 4 and stuff. So like kind of like she's not in the picture, and then we kind of, you know, are following Jacob and everything in his story. And I guess even it was planned to have the characters Taryn, Kincaid, and Joey, where they're kind of like the dream police, and each one of them still has their sort of like dream power and everything from part 3. I think that would have been kind of cool to see, but unfortunately, we didn't get it because I guess Rachel Talalili, I can never say her last name right either, really didn't like the script and was just like, okay, forget it, which is unfortunate because Like, no discredit, no disrespect to Rachel, because I know, like, she was very faithful to this franchise, always doing, like, different producing and everything, and producing aspects for the entire franchise. But honestly, that sounds a whole lot better than the piece of shit that we got instead. But whatever. And even I know, like, some of the stuff in what we have, you do see a little bit of influence of what they were kind of going to possibly do with the John Doe character that was supposed to be Jacob. Because I guess for what I understand, little tidbits from that script that I just kind of mentioned kind of made it through, mainly the John Doe character. So, and once again, take that with a grain of salt. I don't know exactly how much of that is true. For example, where, like, one of the big things is John Doe thinks that he is not Jason, Freddy's son and everything, because he's the last one alive and all this, and he kind of needs to, get to other kids. So I mean, that kind of makes sense to, like, where you kind of see some of that between Jacob and John Doe. The other thing, which I kind of, I think I've always kind of been aware of subconsciously, but really this time I was like, how did you know how to do that? And that's when they're in the abandoned house that we later find was actually Freddy's home and everything when he was married and had a family. Is the John Doe character, needs to go in and save Spencer and everything because he's getting beat up by Freddy. So he's kind of like, oh, you gotta knock me out so I can be in the dream and stuff. It's like, how did you know to do this unless if, you were actually Alice's son? So little things like that where it's like, because you took that aspect out of the film, you're just kind of left with like, how the F do you know this? And I think it would have worked a little bit better, more effectively if they did do kind of like the following the Jacob character and everything. I'm just saying, I think that would be more interesting. I don't know about you guys, so I'm just saying. But yeah. And we get, I mean, obviously we get some backstory with like the kids and stuff. With like the Leslie Dean character, she was definitely her character was pretty much like molested by her father and stuff, or Carlos, who was abused physically, more like physically abused by his mother and everything, with like that long ass Q-tip and everything. Oh god! And I have to say though, that effect with Carlos with like the super hearing aid and everything, and that little like bug on the side of his ear, then his head blowing up, that was pretty cool. I did like that kill. I really did enjoy that kill. But yeah, and like, even with like the Spencer character and stuff, he doesn't want to be like his father and stuff, but his father's very tough on him and all this. So just, it does kind of keep with some of the previous sort of feelings from the rest of the series, where like, yeah, there's, kids who are kind of in shit situations, kind of bonding together and everything, and even if like they, have issues of their own with other people, they're still kind of like, okay, well, these people at least kind of understand where I'm coming from. So, but yeah, and then we find out, too, about, obviously, spoilers in this, so we find out that the John Doe character is not actually Freddy's son. We find out that he actually had a daughter, and of course, it's Lisa Zane's character. She's actually Freddy's daughter and everything, which is interesting, considering that, for the most part, never any mention of Freddy having a kid or anything, even though it was kind of alluded to part 5, Freddy kind of becoming a father, but that was more of Freddy just trying to like influence the baby that was growing inside of Alice, so it wasn't really like his. So it was just kind of interesting that like the last movie that were supposed to be the last movie of the franchise, and boom, all of a sudden you've got a kid and you were married, which I guess makes sense. I mean, you want to have like maybe that one last explanation of Freddy, since we've already explored like his mom and stuff and his birth and stuff, but okay, weird. I don't know. maybe you should have done that like the previous film, and then could have still had that aspect in this, but whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But no, I mean, this one is just kind of, like I said, for me, it kind of depends on the mood I'm in. Sometimes I am kind of like, for what it is, ain't the worst movie. Other times, like, as I stated at the beginning of the video here, it's just, I was so bored with it. Like, I think I turned it off with like 10 minutes less. I should have probably just watched the last 10 minutes, but I was so bored with it. I'm like, it's like Chinese water torture for me this time. It really was. God. But you know what, I do it because I love you guys. Like I said. I mean, but yeah, this one is kind of decent, and like I said, I know there's people who are very faithfully in love with this movie, and other people who are just like, oh my god, like, why? And like I said, I can see both sides, you guys. I'm not gonna bash one or the other groups here, because, I mean, hey, you know what? To each their own. So, it also, too, I was going to mention, too, because obviously I was talking about how we find out that Freddy has a daughter and everything, and we kind of do see a little bit of his, like, formative years and everything in this, and just seeing how, you almost, like, stereotypical of what you'd find in, like, serial killers and stuff, of, like, killing, like, little, animals and stuff, and, like, being in a dingy basement and stuff, and just, like, doing weird stuff. Like, so, yeah, it's, you kind of see, like, the, makings of a serial killer, of what he would eventually become and stuff. So, I mean, I give it props for that, for kind of wrapping up little things like that, some loose ends, because, like I said, for 2 movies, we kind of find out how Freddy was conceived and everything, but, we didn't quite get some of that, formative years stuff. So I'm just saying, I mean, decent little movie, kind of worth checking out if you're gonna, go through the whole series and stuff. Like I said, for me, 50-50 sometimes I'm really kind of digging this. And here's the thing, too, the cast in this, it's a brilliant cast. Nothing against the cast or anything, the whole cast. I mean, I read through the cast, myself, and terrific cast, very talented cast, but it just didn't really work, you guys. It was a sucky script. Come on, Rachel. I'm just saying, I think we should have a redo on Freddy's Dead. I'm just saying, who wants a redo on Freddy's Dead? Let's do this. I'm just saying. But anyway, you guys, let me know what you think about Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare in the comments. Till next time, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.